Now, there is not only a science of memory, there's also a literature of memory. And André, you have spent much of your life tapping memories, sometimes your own, I think sometimes other people who you've known to write your essays, your memoirs, your fiction. What do you make of the science of memory? Do you think about this kind of thing at all, or are you working with memory in a totally different vein?
No, I'm in a room by myself, inventing my life. No, I think it's very interesting because the language of the computers is, obviously it's a metaphor that's so dominant and we use it all the time. And the one aspect of it that I've become very conscious of as a writer of memoirs is the feature called, do you want to save this this document? If you do, you will overwrite the previous one. How many of you are familiar with the word overwrite? Okay, it means you destroy, but you instantly replace it with something else. And that has become basically my approach to writing about memory, because initially when I started writing from my memories, it was kind of easy. I remember X, I write Y, there are some sort of distortions that are unavoidable, word tenses, verb tenses, certain language makes necessary certain alterations. And then there's the fact that, you want to embroider. Who doesn't want to do that? That's humiliating. I'll change it. I'll blame someone else. Nobody will know, okay? The changes that you make in a memoir are sort of legion. But what really began to affect me is when I wrote about my childhood growing up in Alexandria in Egypt. And that was all fine because I remembered a great deal. In fact, I had forgotten nothing, much less forgiven anyone for the bad things they've done to me. But I went back to Alexandria because somebody said, why don't you write about going back? Gee, you left Egypt, now you're back in Egypt, write about that. And I walked down the streets that I had described in my book. And here comes the interesting part when you talk about memory. First of all, I had forgotten nothing. I could walk and never get lost. There was no point in even pretending I didn't know where I was. I knew where I was. Even the smells of the tramway stations still smelled like urine as they had when I was a child. Nothing had changed. So that's all fine. Except there was a change. I had written a scene when I first started writing this book about a walk I took with my brother. And this is all out already, so this is not a confession. I wrote about a walk I took with my brother on the last day in Egypt. And then the editor said, that brother of yours, he's one child too many in this book. Can we eliminate him? I said, sure, you want this? We'll do it in a second. So we changed that. I removed my brother, and some of the dialogue I had with him, I kind of reconstructed, so I was having it as an internal dialogue with myself. But if you want to do sort of the archaeology of the scene, you just will figure out that it's really the missing dark brother who's still there but no longer visible. But then something else occurred. I was walking down the same street, once with him, once without him, and now I'm on the street itself. And here's what happened. I had overwritten the scene. I did not remember what had really happened on that street. And if you ask me today, I remembered, or I think I remembered, the only document I have of that memory is what I had written the first time. But that's a document. I don't have that memory any longer. I erased it.
And you erased it because you're saying you rewrote it.
Yes.
You rewrote it to create a new memory.
Right. And so, you can use quantum metaphors if you want. There are 2 versions, 3 versions, and they can't all be true, but actually I don't know which one is the true one. I have forgotten what really happened on that night.